There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel restful. You walk through your front door and the lights are soft, the floor is clean, the air is still, but something feels off. Not wrong exactly, just heavy, like a conversation is still hanging in the corner. Like your breath doesn't quite reach your chest. Like the day never really ended, even though the sun's gone down. You tell yourself it's nothing. Maybe just fatigue, maybe the weather. But deep down, your body already knows. Space holds memory, space holds mood. And whether we realize it or not, every room we spend time in gathers what we leave behind. Our stress, our tension, our arguments, our grief. It soaks into the walls, hides in the corners, lingers in the air like invisible static. You can mop the floors and fluff the cushions, but if the energy isn't cleared, your nervous system still registers clutter. Most people clean their homes physically. They do laundry, they dust the blinds, they vacuum under the couch. But almost no one cleans their home energetically until something breaks. A sleepless night, a sudden argument, a visit from someone who carried more chaos than care. We forget that energy builds. It accumulates the way dust does. Slowly, invisibly, and all at once. And when it stops moving, so do we. We get irritated for no reason. We lose focus. Projects stall. Relationships feel harder than they should. And often it's not because something's wrong with us. It's because the environment we're living in is congested emotionally, spiritually, energetically. The qi can't move, so neither can we. Feng Shui teaches us that space is a living entity, that just like breath, energy needs rhythm. Flow in, flow out. Activation and rest. Attention and release. When you understand this, you begin to relate to your home differently. It's no longer just a backdrop for your life. It's a collaborator in your growth. And cleansing your space becomes less of a ritual and more of a reset, like washing your hands, like taking a long exhale, like wiping the slate clean so new things can arrive. In today's video, I want to offer you something deeply practical, something you can use anytime your space feels dense, stuck, or off-center. I'm going to walk you through exactly when to cleanse your home, what to use, and how to perform a modern Feng Shui clearing ritual that brings lightness back into your rooms and back into your life. This isn't about superstition. It's about stewardship. This isn't about incense and smoke just for show. It's about consciously shifting the energy of your environment so that it supports your well-being, not works against it. Whether you're moving into a new space, just ended a relationship, hosted a large gathering, or simply feel like the walls have absorbed more than they should, this practice is your reset button. Because here's the truth, energy doesn't need to be loud to affect you. Sometimes it's the quiet layers that weigh the most, the unspoken tension, the worry that never found words, the grief you thought had passed, but still echoes faintly by the window. When we clear space, we don't just make room for good energy. We honor the stories we've lived and choose to release what no longer needs to stay. But before we begin, let me ask something of you. If this message already resonates, if you've ever felt the atmosphere of a room shift without knowing why, or if you've sensed your home carrying weight you couldn't name, please take a moment to support this space. A like helps this message reach someone else who needs it. A share might be the gentle doorway a friend needs to walk through. And a subscription to New Day Mindfulness helps me continue creating thoughtful, grounded, energetically aligned content for you and others navigating home, self, and spirit in a modern world. We're working toward 2,000 subscribers, and your presence helps this circle grow. Now take a breath with me. A full one, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let this be the moment you choose to not just clean your house, but to lift it, to brighten it, to invite movement where there's been stillness. Because when your home feels clear, you do too. And clarity, that's the ground from which everything beautiful can grow. Let's begin with the key question. When is the right time to cleanse your home's energy? When to cleanse your home's energy? Energy doesn't announce its exit or arrival. It doesn't knock before entering. It doesn't warn you when it overstays its welcome. It simply moves or it doesn't. And your home, whether you're conscious of it or not, is constantly recording the events of your life like soft impressions in sand. You may repaint the walls or rearrange the furniture, but energy lives in the pauses, the residue, the aftertaste of what happened and what didn't. In Feng Shui, we understand that energy behaves like breath, meant to move, to cycle, to release. When it gets stuck, everything else eventually follows. That's why space clearing isn't decorative and it's not mystical either. It's essential maintenance for the invisible atmosphere that surrounds you every day. And just like you don't wait until your car breaks down to change the oil, you shouldn't wait for crisis to clear the air you live in. So the question becomes, when should you energetically cleanse your space? Not arbitrarily, not obsessively, but with rhythm, care, and awareness. There are pivotal moments in life where the atmosphere of a home shifts, even if the architecture remains unchanged. These are the moments when space becomes dense, unclear, or emotionally charged. The moments where, if left unaddressed, the environment begins to mirror and multiply the very patterns you're trying to move beyond. The first and most obvious moment to clear space is when you're moving into a new home. Even if it's brand new, even if it's just been renovated, even if it smells of fresh paint and polished marble. Because behind every freshly staged room is a history of workers, of previous owners, of the emotional imprints that linger long after the people have left. You might not see it, but your nervous system will feel it. Sometimes it's subtle, a restlessness, a feeling that the room is not quite yours. Other times it's more direct, sudden fatigue, unexpected friction between household members, or a general sense that something isn't welcoming you. Clearing the space before you unpack a single box is like setting the foundation of your home with clean soil. It's your energetic way of saying, this space is mine now, and I choose what grows here. Another moment that demands cleansing is after conflict. A serious argument, a shouting match, silent tension that lingers across days. Even if the conflict is resolved externally, its energetic shadow often stays behind. Words carry charge. Emotion imprints the air. Anger, resentment, blame. These are dense frequencies. They hang low, they anchor to walls, absorb into fabrics, and disrupt the natural circulation of qi in your home. If you've ever walked into a room after an argument and immediately felt like your body tensed, even if no one said anything, that's not imagination. That's resonance. And unless cleared, that heaviness often reactivates the next time you're tired, vulnerable, or triggered. It repeats. Clearing the space resets the frequency. It says, we've moved through it, now let's move beyond it. Illness too, especially prolonged sickness or emotional fatigue, is a major reason to reset the space. The body's healing process releases not only physical waste, but energetic weight. Despair, uncertainty, and the mental fog that often accompanies recovery are absorbed by the environment around you. Hospitals understand this intuitively, even if not by name. They sanitize not only for germs, but to create a sense of freshness, of possibility. Your home deserves the same respect. After recovering from illness or supporting someone through theirs, take the time to clear the air, reset the light, and allow new energy to circulate. It is not just about removing what was, it's about inviting what's next. One of the most overlooked but critical times to cleanse your home is after the ending of a relationship. Whether it's a breakup, a divorce, or the quiet closing of a friendship that once lived loudly in your space, These energetic bonds are real. They linger in shared furniture, in photographs, in the objects you forget to move because it's too painful or too tedious. But just like cleaning out a closet, releasing the emotional footprint of someone who no longer lives in your life is not an act of bitterness. It's an act of permission. You clear space not because you hate them, but because your home must now serve a different chapter. That chapter begins with neutrality, not memory. And an energy reset is the bridge that makes that possible. Another beautiful time to cleanse is at the beginning of a new lunar cycle or calendar year. These natural thresholds carry symbolic momentum. A lunar new moon is a space of emptiness, fertile with possibility. The start of a calendar year is marked culturally by intentions, resolutions, and desire for clarity. If your space still holds the residue of last year's mistakes, stresses, and delays, it will quietly pull you back into their orbit. Clearing the energy creates a vacuum for the new to enter. It tells the universe, I'm not dragging last year forward. I'm creating room for what I haven't yet imagined. Even happy moments like launching a new business from home or returning from a long vacation are ideal times to cleanse. That may sound counterintuitive, but energy resets are not just for clearing negativity, they're for activating alignment. When you start a new business, you want your home to reflect clarity, flow, and readiness. When you return from travel, you want your space to greet you with freshness, not stagnation. We don't only wash dishes when they're visibly dirty, we wash them because clean is better, regardless of where we've been. One of the most compelling validations of this practice came from a luxury real estate agent in Los Angeles. She shared with me that more and more high-end buyers, including well-known celebrities, now request energy clearing before signing a final contract. Not because they believe in superstition, but because they understand this. Money doesn't just buy property, it buys possibility. And no one wants to inherit the stress, sadness, or stuckness of the previous owner. They want a clean start, and that doesn't come from marble countertops or scent diffusers alone. It comes from air that feels clear, from space that holds no memory of crisis, from an environment that feels new, not just looks new. You may not be a celebrity, you may not live in a mansion, but your home deserves the same clarity, because your dreams are no less sacred, and your energy, just like theirs, is shaped daily by what you surround yourself with. When your space is clean, truly clean, energetically clean, your body rests deeper, your mind thinks clearer, your relationships soften, and life begins to meet you with more synchronicity, more ease, and less resistance. This isn't a belief, it's a pattern. And it begins the moment you choose to treat your home not just as shelter, but as soul space. Cleansing ingredients, the tools that shift energy. When a space begins to feel heavy, inconsistent, or emotionally ungrounded, our first instinct is often to reach for surface solutions. Rearrange the couch, buy new curtains, open a window. And while those changes can offer a breath of fresh air, they often fail to reach the invisible tension that builds beneath the surface. What Feng Shui understands, and what many ancient systems echo, is that imbalance is rarely just physical, it's energetic. And to shift the energy of a space, you need ingredients that carry vibration, that hold frequency, that come not from factories or machines, but from the earth herself. These are not decorative items. They are carriers of memory, medicine, and ancient clarity. Natural materials, plants, resins, woods, minerals, move through space the way wind moves through a valley, with quiet power and invisible effect. They don't force change, they encourage return. And that return is where real harmony begins. Among the most recognized tools in energetic cleansing is sage, particularly white sage, long used in indigenous North American traditions for purification, blessing, and energetic clarity. When burned, sage emits a dense smoke that neutralizes chaos and breaks up stagnation. It doesn't simply mask energy, it resets it. That's why it's often used after illness, conflict, or the arrival of unwanted energy from others. But with its potency comes a responsibility. White sage should never be used casually or as trend. Its roots are ceremonial, and it should always be sourced ethically and burned with care. When using sage, always open your windows. The point is not to trap the smoke inside, it's to allow the old energy a pathway out. As you move from room to room, let the smoke drift into corners, under furniture, into spaces you rarely enter. These are the places that hold the most forgotten weight. And remember, sage doesn't discriminate between energies. It clears all of them. So once the space is neutralized, you'll want to follow up with an ingredient that invites in the specific frequency you want to welcome. That's where agar wood, known in Vietnam and much of Asia as tram hung, becomes essential. Agar wood is not light or playful. It is deep. It is ancient. It is spiritual gravity distilled into resin. Formed when Aquilaria trees are infected by a specific mold, agar wood is a response to stress, to injury, and that response becomes one of the most precious aromatic substances on earth. Burned as incense, it doesn't just clear, it elevates. The scent is rich, meditative, and enveloping. In East Asian spiritual practice, agar wood is often used in temples and high-vibration rituals designed to awaken clarity, invite wealth alignment, and call in ancestral support. It does not erase what's there, it refines it. Think of it not as a disinfectant, but as a conductor, something that brings your home into resonance with higher frequencies, especially after periods of deep fatigue, grief, or spiritual confusion. In homes that have carried trauma or in rooms where healing is slow, agar wood can be the bridge between density and light. For those seeking a gentler tool, something that doesn't demand intensity, but rather offers sweetness, licorice root becomes a quiet but transformative ally. Known in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic traditions alike, dried licorice root, has long been recognized as a harmonizer. Burned slowly or boiled into a soft vapor that can be diffused, it emits a subtle, almost honeyed scent that brings comfort to the emotional body. It is especially powerful after emotional rupture, loss of friendship, romantic heartbreak, periods of self-doubt. Its role is not to cleanse harshly, but to gather the emotional field and soothe it. Licorice is for those days when the space doesn't feel heavy, but it doesn't feel kind either. It turns a neutral room into a nurturing one. If sage is the storm that clears, and agar wood, the mountain that anchors, licorice is the stream that comforts after. For more sensitive individuals, or those with respiratory sensitivities to smoke, Palo Santo can be a beautiful alternative. While often used similarly to sage, Palo Santo, when ethically sourced from fallen wood in South America, offers a lighter, more citrus-forward scent that uplifts without overwhelming. It's particularly useful in rooms where children play or in creative studios, where inspiration is needed without overstimulation. Its energy is warm, golden, and gently expansive. Citrus peel incense can also work well here, especially orange or bergamot, bringing brightness into stagnant corners and resetting mental fog. Salt, perhaps the oldest purifier in human history, remains one of the most understated but reliable tools for energetic clearing, specifically sea salt. Its crystalline structure and high mineral content make it a natural neutralizer of energetic residue. In Feng Shui, salt is often used in doorway protection rituals or to absorb ambient negativity in rooms that feel tense. To apply, sprinkle a thin line of salt along door thresholds or in the corners of rooms you wish to purify. Leave it for an hour, long enough to absorb what needs to be lifted, then vacuum it away, always with the intention that what no longer serves has been released. Salt doesn't speak loudly, but it listens, it absorbs, and it humbly clears. A gentle reminder for those gathering tools. Avoid synthetic incense sticks or artificially fragranced sprays. While they may mimic the scent of sacred materials, they do not hold the frequency. In fact, many of them introduce more disharmony than they remove. Artificial fragrances often carry chemical carriers that agitate the nervous system, leading to headaches, emotional irritability, or even physical fatigue. They perfume the surface but disrupt the subtle field. Energy cleansing is not about scent, it's about signal, and nature's signal is never synthetic. All of these tools, sage, agarwood, licorice, palo santo, citrus, salt, they are not accessories, they are instruments. They tune your home the way the musician tunes a string. They don't force the change. They help the space remember its own balance. When you work with them intentionally, not as trends, not as rituals performed on autopilot, but as living, breathing conversations with space, your home responds. You'll feel it in the way light moves differently, in how your body rests more deeply, in the kinds of conversations that emerge naturally in the hours that follow. When the energy is clean, there's nothing left to resist. Only movement, only presence, only flow. Step by step, how to perform a modern Feng Shui cleansing. The ritual of clearing a home is not about smoke and herbs. It's about presence, about how you walk, what you notice, and how you choose to treat the space that shelters your thoughts, your dream, and your quiet hours. A proper energy cleansing is less about tools and more about intention. It's less about performance and more about deep listening. Because your space is not just filled with air, it's filled with memory. And before we can let new energy in, we must clear the atmosphere where old stories still linger. That clearing begins not with your hand, but with your breath, your awareness, your willingness to let the past exit through the door it once entered. That's why before we begin, we prepare not just the tools, but the setting, the pace, the mood. Cleansing without preparation is like playing music without tuning the instrument. The notes may be right, but the sound will never resonate. Start by preparing the space for transformation, not decoration. Open the windows in every room, even if just slightly. Let the air know it has permission to move. Light, temperature, and oxygen are not just physical, they are carriers of signal. By opening the windows, you're telling the Qi that stagnation is no longer welcome. You are preparing pathways for release. Then dim the overhead lights. Overhead lighting creates intensity, but for clearing, you want intimacy. Opt for warm-toned lamps, natural daylight if it's morning or afternoon, or a few flickering candles if the ritual takes place near dusk. Avoid cold fluorescence or anything that buzzes or hums. Let the light be soft enough to make you feel inwardly aware but present. Then silence distractions. Turn off the television. Place your phone on silent or leave it in another room entirely. This is not the time for interruption. This is not multitasking. Your home deserves undivided attention, even if only for an hour. If it feels right, choose background music. I often recommend tracks in the 432 Hz range, a frequency said to promote calm, alignment, and coherence, or simple instrumental acoustic melodies that feel like a stream passing through the room. Let the sound cradle the experience, not dominate it. With the mood set, prepare your cleansing tools with reverence, not rush. Light your chosen material. White sage for broad spectrum clearing, agar wood for deeper spiritual alignment, palo santo for gentle lift, or dried licorice root for emotional ease. Use a fireproof container, an abalone shell, a ceramic bowl, or a clay dish with sand. Wait until the smoke rises in steady, rhythmic curls. Don't wave it around like perfume. Let it become a steady stream that carries your attention forward. Begin at the front door, the mouth of the home. This is the first and last point of energetic contact. Wave the smoke slowly around the door frame, both inside and outside. Pause before the threshold and breathe. With your eyes open or closed, say in a clear inner voice, "This space is open to renewal. I release what no longer serves. I invite clarity and flow." Then begin your walk. Move through the house clockwise, from left to right with intention and consistency. In Feng Shui, this movement mirrors the way energy is cultivated, building gradually, supporting momentum. You're not rushing, you're spiraling life back into form. Let the smoke drift into the places people rarely look. Corners, baseboards, beneath beds, behind shelves, inside closets. These are the energetic sinkholes, the places where grief hides, where conversations echo, where anxiety settles. Wave the smoke deliberately into those spaces. Imagine it brushing away layers that words could never reach. Pause at transition points, doorways, stairs, hallways. These are the arteries of your home's energetic body. If you feel a temperature change or a sudden emotion arise, don't resist it. That's information. Let it move through you. Let the smoke be your compass. As you walk, speak your intention, not once, but throughout, out loud or silently. It can be a simple phrase or a deeply personal invocation. One of my favorites is, "I release all stagnant or heavy energy from this space. This home is filled with clarity, with joy, and with abundance." Say it when you need to. Say it when you feel it. Your voice calibrates space. Your tone weaves with the smoke. That is the true cleansing. When you enter the kitchen, pause. This is not just a room for food. It is your house's hearth, the place where nourishment is generated. In Feng Shui, the kitchen is tied to prosperity, digestion, and self-worth. Let the smoke pass gently around the stove, the corners of the countertop, behind the fridge, especially if this space has held tension over money, health, or family responsibility. Don't try to erase it, acknowledge it, and allow the cleansing to soften its hold. The bedroom deserves equal care, not just for its role in rest, but because it holds your subconscious, your dreams, your fears, your intimacy. Circle the bed slowly. Let the smoke waft around the headboard, beneath the mattress, toward the closet. This is where the emotional body lives. If you've been having restless sleep, repeating thoughts, or waking with a sense of dread, this is the room to spend the most time in. The energy in a bedroom clings. Be generous with your pacing. Let the smoke settle before you move on. In bathrooms, often overlooked, you must be precise. These are energetic exit points, places where we release, cleanse, and dispose. But energetically, if they are neglected, they become leaks. Clear around the toilet, the drains, the corners. Don't linger in these rooms, but don't skip them. Say, "May this room clear and release what no longer needs to be held." Let it be functional, not forgotten. Once you've completed the circuit of the home, return to the front door. This is your close, your seal, your exhale. Hold the smoke for one final moment near the threshold. Speak your final intention. This space is now light, clear, protected, and aligned. I welcome new energy, new movement, new peace. Then extinguish the smudge in your fire-safe bowl. Never run water over the ember. It disrupts the closing. Instead, press the burning end gently into sand, rice, or natural ash. Thank the material. Offer one last breath. Leave the windows open for at least 30 to 45 minutes after. Let the new air mix with what remains. Don't rush to shut the doors. Let the house feel the change. As an optional final step, Place a bowl of sea salt or a citrine crystal in your living room, the energy heart of shared experience. These objects will act as energetic stabilizers. Sea salt continues to absorb subtle residue over the next 7 days. Citrine, the stone of clarity and flow, holds the frequency of joy and financial fluidity. Place them where you can see them, not to fixate but to remind. Every time you pass, let it be a quiet nod. My space is clean, my space is aligned, my energy is supported. This entire process need not be elaborate, but it must be sincere. You are not just cleansing air, you are clarifying intention. You are not just burning herbs, you are clearing the path for your future to enter without dragging yesterday's weight. And when done with mindfulness, space doesn't just feel different, it begins to act differently. It begins to support, to echo, to lift. Because when you treat your home like a sacred being, it becomes one. Amplify the energy reset with sound and light. Energy does not begin and end with smoke. It responds to what follows. A house that has been cleared must also be uplifted. Cleansing removes the residue, but it is sound and light that shape what comes next. These are not cosmetic elements. They are vibrational tools, ancient and modern, capable of tuning space just as precisely as a musician tunes an instrument. Sound moves through walls. Light penetrates silence. Together, they do more than fill a room. They recalibrate it. And when used with intention after a space-clearing ritual, they don't just maintain the energetic work you've done, they amplify it. In Feng Shui and other energetic traditions, sound is a carrier of frequency. It enters where words cannot. It vibrates through the nervous system. It lifts what the mind cannot process. The most effective sounds for post-cleansing are those that evoke coherence and calm. Choose instrumental music that flows like water or breath, tracks built around soft strings, slow piano progressions, light ambient textures, or natural sounds like rainfall, ocean waves, or forest ambience. Frequencies around 432 Hz are particularly supportive. This frequency is believed by many sound healers to be a natural resonance with the human body and Earth's vibration. Whether or not you subscribe to the science behind that number, what matters is how the music makes you feel. Does your body soften when it plays? Do your thoughts quiet? Does the space seem to expand without becoming louder? That's the metric. Avoid lyrical music, especially immediately after cleansing. Words carry charge. They bring stories into the room. If those stories are about heartbreak, conflict, or tension, even if it's just a background song, that vibration begins to overwrite the stillness you just cultivated. Let the space remain a canvas for now, not a diary. Light, too, is not just brightness, it's mood, frequency, and instruction. Cold blue lights, common in many homes due to default LED settings, might be energy efficient, but they are emotionally disruptive. They stimulate the brain's cortisol response, signal the body to stay alert, and cut the warmth of any atmosphere. In healing spaces, especially bedrooms, meditation corners, and shared living areas, replace blue tone lights with warm white bulbs in the 2700K to 3000K range. These tones mimic the softness of firelight or early morning sun. They relax the mind, support deeper sleep, and invite a kind of visual kindness that our overstimulated nervous systems are often starved for. One of the simplest ways to reinforce the ritual is to light a beeswax or soy candle immediately after your smudging is complete. This isn't for scent, it's for presence. The flame itself becomes a silent witness to the reset you've just performed. Beeswax candles in particular are known to emit negative ions as they burn, which may help neutralize airborne toxins in subtle energetic imbalances. Symbolically, fire is activation. It brings yang energy into a space freshly cleared of heaviness. The candle says, We are beginning again. Let it burn for at least an hour, not as a task, but as a signal. If possible, invest in dimmable lighting or smart bulbs that allow you to shift intensity depending on the time of day or your mood. Energy rises and falls. Your light should be allowed to follow. Early mornings may benefit from a gradual rise in brightness. Late evenings should wind down into lower golden tones. Instead of relying on overhead fixtures, especially those directly above your bed or workspace, use side lamps, sconces, or even string lights with a warmer hue. These diffuse energy rather than pin it. They create intimacy instead of spotlighting. The more directional your light source, the more emotionally soft the space becomes. There's also a powerful, often forgotten tool in energy healing: sunlight. Not the artificial simulation of it, but the real, physical, life-sustaining presence of natural light. After you've completed your space-clearing ritual, especially if it was performed in the early morning or after a period of conflict, open every curtain, pull back every blind, let the light in, not filtered through fabric, but fully. Let it fall on the couch, let it hit the wall, let it warm the floor. Natural sunlight is the purest form of yang energy. It restores momentum, it dissolves stagnation, and it whispers life back into corners that may have held quiet grief. A room bathed in morning light does not just look different, it feels different. And it's one of the most powerful ways to support the reprogramming of space without needing a single object or tool. For those who live in small apartments or in cities with limited natural light, mimic the rhythm of the sun. Begin your day by turning on lights gradually. Use candles when possible. Add mirrors to bounce available light into darker areas. And if you have a balcony, terrace, or window ledge, place a reflective object there. A bowl, a glass orb, a light-colored plant pot. Let it draw in brightness. Let it amplify what little sunlight enters. The message is the same. This home welcomes clarity. Finally, consider combining light and sound into one practice. After you finish the smoke-clearing portion of your ritual, let a soft instrumental track play as you walk through the home, turning on side lamps, opening blinds, or lighting a single candle in each room. This creates a sensory narrative. It tells your home, in your own energetic field, that the clearing is not only complete, it is being filled now with harmony, rhythm, and resonance. The result? Not just a clean space, but a vibrationally attuned one. The mistake many people make after a clearing is doing nothing. They cleanse, they breathe, they open a window, and then they move on. But space is like a field. Once tilled, it must be seeded. Sound and light are the seeds, and what you plant determines what will grow. Mini story. Not long ago, in an interview that quietly slipped between headlines, Ariana Grande shared something that had nothing to do with charts, tours, or record deals, but everything to do with energy. It wasn't a flashy story, nor was it framed for spectacle. But for those of us who listen for the subtle layers beneath success, it was revealing. She spoke about the experience of moving into a new home, a large, beautiful property in Los Angeles with sweeping views and luxurious finishes. By all external measures, it was a dream house, but she couldn't sleep. She described it not as haunted, not as eerie, but as heavy, as if the walls held their breath, as if the light didn't quite land. There was no logical explanation, no drafts, no visible flaws, but something felt off. Her anxiety spiked. Her music, normally her refuge, felt dull and unreachable. Even the air, she said, felt like it didn't move. At first she ignored it, told herself it was just adjustment. New rhythms, new furniture, new life. But weeks passed and the sensation only grew. So she turned not to interior designers or real estate consultants, but to her spiritual advisor, someone who had been guiding her quietly behind the scenes for years. And what she received wasn't a renovation plan, it was a ritual. Simple, ancient, and absolutely rooted in intention. Together they performed a full space clearing. They opened every window, lit white sage and Palo Santo from ethically sourced bundles, and let the smoke dance through every room like a story being rewritten. They played music tuned to 432 Hz, chosen specifically for its capacity to soften the nervous system and restore harmony in both mind and room. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic gestures, just steady pacing, reverent presence, in the quiet voice of someone reclaiming her space. She called the experience transformational, not because it made headlines, but because it made her feel like herself again. Her words were soft but clear. The house started to feel like home. Her anxiety, which had been rising quietly like steam behind her ribs, settled. Her sleep deepened, and her creativity, once stuck behind an invisible curtain, returned like water finding its path. This is the part that matters most. It wasn't about the square footage. It wasn't about being famous or having a spiritual team. It wasn't about money. It was about attention, intention, ritual, presence. Because space doesn't respond to wealth, it responds to reverence. And while Ariana Grande's home may have had more rooms or more windows than yours or mine, the energy that flowed through it obeyed the same laws. Stagnation weighs everyone equally, and renewal is available to all. You don't need a mansion to shift your energy. You don't need to be famous to deserve clarity. You need 20 to 30 minutes of focus, a few natural elements, perhaps sage, Palo Santo, or licorice root, a willingness to let go, and the courage to reclaim your own space. No matter how big or small your home is, it carries your story, and you have the right and the power to clear what no longer belongs there. When someone like Ariana opens up about something as private and intuitive as energy cleansing, it's not about glamour, it's about relatability. Because what she experienced, that sense of inner chaos reflected in outer stillness, is something so many people feel but never name. We call it fatigue, or burnout, or tension. But sometimes it's not you, it's the space around you, holding on to emotions and events that should have long been released. And that's not superstition. That's structure. That's resonance. That's energetic memory waiting for you to turn the page. And so, as you prepare to clear your own home, perhaps for the first time or perhaps as part of a regular rhythm, remember this. Intention is the most powerful tool you possess. Not the sage, not the candle, not even the sound, but the way you choose to stand in your space and say, this is mine, this story shifts now. Your home is not just the place where you rest your body, it is the landscape of your inner world. Every corner reflects something internal, your pace, your priorities, your patterns. Just as we care for our skin, our sleep, our breath, our homes too need tending, because space holds more than furniture. It holds energy, it holds memory, it holds the parts of you that speak without words. And over time, if not cleared, that energy begins to thicken. Unspoken arguments echo. Old fatigue settles into corners. Creativity stalls. Hope feels distant. And you begin to forget that lightness was ever possible. That clarity is not an accident. That joy has a frequency you can cultivate, not just chase. This is why energy clearing isn't a superstition. It's hygiene. It's spiritual bathing. It's the kind of invisible care that ripples into every visible part of your life. Your motivation, your sleep, your ability to forgive, your capacity to feel at home inside your own skin. The longer stagnant energy stays, the more it shapes your reality. But when you clear space, intentionally, gently, without fear, you invite something powerful back in. choice, movement, forward motion that no longer resists your efforts. So let this be your reminder. You don't need incense in every room or crystals in every window. You don't need to be a spiritual expert. You simply need to start with one ingredient, 1 hour, one intention. That's it. Walk your home, let it feel seen, light a candle, play soft music, speak to the walls if you need to. Say, "We're starting again," and watch how the space listens, how your own nervous system responds, how the days begin to flow differently. Now I'd love to hear from you. What part of your home do you feel most drawn to cleanse right now? Is it your bedroom, your front door, that hallway you always pass but never really see? Tell me in the comments. And if you try this practice, even in the simplest form, I invite you to come back and share your experience. Your story might be the doorway someone else has been waiting to walk through. And if this video offered you something, clarity, calm, even just a moment of pause, please consider subscribing to New Day Mindfulness. I release weekly videos to help you shape your space and spirit into something that supports, not sabotages your path. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers, and every like, every share, every kind comment helps this quiet community grow stronger. Because energy flows where intention lives. And the more homes we bring into alignment, the more peace, abundance, and possibility we bring into the world. Not just room by room, but soul by soul. Until next time, take a deep breath, and may your space reflect the version of you that's ready to rise.